Good morning, Tallahassee. It's time to wake up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi and Corey Clark.
Good morning. Wake up. It is football season. It's here, man. We're here. We being Corey Clark and myself, Aslan Hajavandi. It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Corey, 28 days away from football. How excited are you?
I'm really excited, buddy. Well, that's not true. Yeah, I'm excited about football season getting here. I wouldn't say I'm excited that we're still 28 days away. But, the first day of fall practice is always pretty fun, I guess.
We'll be doing that later this morning.
Mm-hmm.
All a nice fresh 15 hours or so after we had talked to Willie, Harlan Barnett, and Walt Bell on Sunday.
Yeah, which was awesome. We hadn't, for people that don't know, obviously we would talk to Randy Sanders once at Media Day, and then maybe at the bowl game sometimes, and Charles Kelly the same. We never really had, and even those were like 10-minute sit down in the auditorium, gather around and ask them in the auditorium while all the other coaches are there. For a coordinator to actually have a press conference, I mean, it legitimately, that's the first coordinator press conference that we've had at Florida State since Mickey Andrews was the DC.
Wow.
That's crazy. And it was really neat. I mean, I thought both those guys are really likable guys. They're certainly knowledgeable. They were impressive. I think Bell is kind of I think Harlan Barnett might be a little more, I think Bell is wired a certain way where it's a lot of football. And it's a lot of seriousness about football. I don't think he's a guy that has that personality that jokes around a lot. Harlan Barnett, I think, seems like a kind of a fun dude.
If Stan Wilcox had to operate the last 2-3 years with a short list of candidates to replace Jimbo Fisher, I think Willie Taggart's going to have to operate in the similar fashion of an offensive coordinator. So Walt Bell's got his eye on the prize.
He does, yeah. Oh, he sure does. He was really good, really impressive, and like I told you afterwards, or maybe I told Ira, it's like if this dude averages 32 points over the next 3 years, and they're pretty good here, he'll be able to go to a lot of different Power 5 jobs as a head coach. He's a really, really impressive guy and answered every question, pretty darn well. Just was polished for a guy that maybe he did it a lot at Arkansas State and Maryland, but really polished. And again, it was just cool to ask. And practice hasn't started yet, and we'll see how much we get these guys moving forward. Hopefully, it's at least once a week. That would be great, just for a different perspective. But both he and Harlan Barnett, I thought were really interesting in how they got the jobs too. I thought that those were probably the most interesting parts of the whole press conferences were them talking about how they got the jobs and why they would want to come to Florida State.
Everyone just slides into DMs, just text people, "Hey, what's up, man? What are you doing?
You up?
You up?
You up?
You up?"
Which was kind of what Harlan Barnett's was. It was who reached out to him? Which coach was
Woody.
it? Woody, yeah. Coach Woody reached out to him and said, Raymond Woody reached out to him and said, "Call me, it's important."
Yeah.
And this was after they had just won the whatever bowl Michigan State was in this past season. And he didn't call him back that night because they were in Hawaii. And then when he was getting ready to get on the plane the next morning, Woody texted him again and said, "Hey, man, call me, it's important." And so he called him, and that's when Woody said, "Hey, Coach Taggart wants to interview you for the head coaching job, the defensive coordinator position."
And didn't Barnett say something along the lines of he wasn't even sure if he was being offered the job when he was interviewed? It was
he said when he came down, he flew down, he met with Taggart, and he was driving him back to the airport, and Taggart was saying, "This is what we would do, this is what we'd offer, this is the thing." But he never came out and said, "Hey, we're offering you the job." So he didn't find out really till the next day that Taggart was officially offering him the job.
I mean, I guess we'll go macro on this. I hate saying that word. It's so hackneyed these days. But to your point, you got to feel good that these two guys are your vice president, your consiglieres or whatever. I mean, these guys are coordinating. I know Walt Bell's not going to call plays, but if he's going to be in the press box, which he said he's 99.9% sure, and then Harlan Barnett's on the field, I mean, who knows where Harlan Barnett's going to be. But you just walk away from talking to these guys for 20 minutes, and nothing against Randy Sanders or Charles Kelly. I instantly feel better about who is leading those segments.
Yeah, for sure. And, Harlan Barnett, again, I think he was rightly very proud of what he did at Michigan State because they were really good at Michigan State. And he talked about having a simple defense and how that's a good thing. You don't want the thing that I thought was really interesting that he talked about was this summer trying to teach kids football IQ. I'd never heard of that before. It makes sense, but to teach somebody, this is what the offense is trying to do to you. This is how they're going to try to exploit you. Not just, hey, this is what you do on this particular play. This is your key. It's, hey, think about on 2nd and 8. What are they going to try to do right here? Where are they trying to get the ball to? Well, how are they going to try to exploit you? How do you combat that? I thought all that was really pretty fascinating stuff. And man, I'm to the point now where I might be openly rooting for them to win games. Like this whole staff, I want them
cheering in the press box.
I want them to be here for 10 years. They are. It's just such
likable.
A different vibe, man. It's just so different. But if they don't win, it's not going to matter, which is why I really hope they win. Because if they don't, if this staff just muddles around,
don't they? Really though,
it would be hard. It's hard to think that they wouldn't. Harlan Barnett didn't just get lucky in East Lansing. He was the defensive coordinator as far as calling game plans at Michigan State, calling the plays and the formations during the games. And then Walt Bell to me seems like kind of one of these wonderkins. He's a guy that just eats, breathes, and sleeps football and loves it. And yeah, just those two guys along with Taggart, the way they're going to recruit, it would be really hard, in my opinion, for them to foul this up. But if they do, if they're middling around 500 for the next 3 or 4 years, then you're going to get the exact opposite of this kind of, to me anyway, you're going to get another, totalitarian type regime to come in here. So that's why I'm really hoping this works. Not just for Florida State, not just for me and you, but for all of college football, man. For all fans that actually want to hear from coaches and want to hear from players and don't think they're all top nuclear secrets. I just really hope this works because these guys are they're really fun to talk to, really engaging and really personable.
I like both of them.
All
three. All three. And the head coach too. Like I said, I'm all aboard after he went out of his way to be a good guy in Charlotte. That was pretty spectacular. Injury stuff. I guess some people are interested in that for whatever reason. Not trying to diminish that, but it's golly, it's August 6th. Chill out, everybody.
Well, they'd be interested if Francois broke his ankles out or something like that. But you got a couple.
Marvin Wilson and Naquan Murray are not going to be back immediately, but they should be back at some point in preseason camp.
Yeah, which is a little dubious, man. You wonder about, man, when he's saying they could be back by the end of camp or should be back by the end of camp. It's like, all right, does that mean the last 3 days before? Is that game week?
Right.
Or is that 2 or 3 weeks before Virginia Tech? Because, again, that's a big deal if they're not practicing. Marvin Wilson hasn't proven enough to tell me that he can come off not practicing for 2 or 3 weeks and then be a dominant force. Everybody needs practice, so that's that to me is the biggest news of the day on Sunday was that he won't be ready for practice, and he doesn't have really a timetable on when he will be back.
It was MCL for him, right?
I think so. Yeah, it wasn't an ACL, but it was a knee injury, and that's a lot of weight on a knee.
I mean, even 6 to 8 weeks though. It's been 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, it's been 2 months. I wonder why he is. Well, maybe we'll ask him that later this morning. Do we know if we're going to get Willie this morning, or is it just going to be the players?
I don't know, buddy.
It'd be weird to have him 14, 15 hours after the fact.
Nothing has changed, but yeah.
But, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, there was a couple things I wanted to ask him that we weren't able to get to. But Derek Kelly is a new, I guess, injury designation. We didn't get any details of. I guess he's been banged up is what Willie was saying, something along the lines of that.
Yeah, limping around a little bit.
Yeah,
but, again, he thinks he'll be back at some point this camp.
And then everybody that practiced that was on scholarship is still here for the spring, or from spring to now. Sans Josh
and the
Ball.
freshman class should all be in.
Yes, Xavier Peters is going to be here, he thinks.
Yep.
Later this week, right?
Yep.
Trayshawn Harrison, the speedster from Seattle, had to go back for family emergency, but should be back tomorrow, I think he was saying.
Yeah, I think he said Tuesday.
Or today, later
Tuesday.
tonight. We're recording,
Yeah.
sorry. Apologize. Oh, it did so good. We went 8.5 minutes with me pretending that it was 6:06 p.m. or 6:06 a.m.
Yeah. It's closer to 6:06 p.m., folks, if you want to know the truth.
Don't tell them that, Corey. So, okay, that was the injury stuff that came from Willie. And there's so much to all the interviews are up on warchant.com.
It was an hour and a half. Through those three guys talked for a total of about an hour and a half.
It was a lot.
But we've never had anything like that since I've been doing this for 10, 11 years at this school, where you had the head coach and both coordinators come in and just like a press conference setting and take 30 minutes worth of questions each. That's just never happened. And again, it was just really kind of refreshing. And it's also because we hadn't gotten to talk to those, and this is a bad thing, but we hadn't talked to those guys for 8 months. Since they got hired, we hadn't talked to either one of them. So we had a lot of questions about how they got here, why they ended up here and all that, which we could have gotten out of the way back in December if we'd have gotten them then. But even still, it was really cool to talk about those talked to those guys, and I just thought they both were really impressive. And Florida State fans, I can't imagine, were anything other than really impressed by what they saw with those two dudes.
Let's talk more about that, their journeys to get to Tallahassee and the things they said about that right after this, right here on Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Wake up! 97.9 ESPN Radio, Wake Up War Chant. I'm Aslan. He is Corey S. Clark, senior writer and columnist for warchant.com. Don't forget, folks, or actually I shouldn't say don't forget, this is the first reminder or the first notification here on the program. Really cool promo going on right now for warchant.com. If you're not a subscriber, if you sign up now, you'll get 2 football seasons for the price of one. You basically get a year and a half worth of subscription for the price of one. And you'll also get a $50 gift card to Garnet and Gold. And that's if you do the annual pass. If you want to go month to month, you will get a $25 gift card to Garnet and Gold. And it's just month to month. But again, if you go ahead and get the whole year, you get half year thrown in and $50 to Garnet and Gold. Might get you a nice shirt, polo, hat.
And why would you want to do month to month?
Yeah, I mean, it's football season about to start here. You don't want to just, okay, cool.
Yeah,
we got the Virginia Tech
year.
and the Northern Illinois game. Checking out now.
And also, what are you looking for Florida State news, Florida State football news, and sports news if it's not War Chant?
For real.
Nothing. You can't be looking for anything else. You got the best writers in the biz, easily, I would say.
You and I are for sure.
Ira, you can't
Hands
top that.
down.
You've got you and I on this show, which you feel like
really
you know
solid,
us.
like
and,
it.
And we respond to people on the message boards occasionally.
We, as in I do.
You do, yes. Well, the royal we. And obviously, so you got the show. You've got all your videos that you put up, Aslan's videos that he's really good at. Gene does his thing.
Michael
moderates
Langston on the recruiting.
Michael Langston with the recruiting. I mean, and Gene, Gene's nobody's more dialed in than Gene.
Been doing this since 96, people.
Yeah.
Since 96.
Before some of the competitors were even born.
Literally.
They were still sucking at their moms.
Whoa.
Sorry, I never know what the
still
line is.
listening to the show. I meant to ask Gene this the other day. Excuse me.
I was going to say teat.
That's fine.
That's
the
word we can say,
proper
right? Yeah.
term. Where do you think Gene parked in 1996 to cover Florida State? Like, I want to ask Ira, where did Ira park in 2002?
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, because Ira's been doing it this is his 16th football season.
Because now they put us where? The parking garage across from the soccer stadium?
I think when I first started doing it, it was the IM Fields is where I parked.
I don't think they do that anymore.
No, they definitely don't.
Big time boosters
so
now.
yeah, no, they should park with Gene should be able to park with the Golden Chiefs.
Yeah. All right, so you went to Georgia, I went to Florida State, but I think most people at home probably think that you have more affinity for this university than I do, just because I'm so grumpy about everything. Yeah. But there was a time I really thought, and to be honest and truthful and transparent, I always thought maybe like you and Ira beat the drum too much on the whole Jimbo Fisher they thing, where he wouldn't say we or us, it was always they, you guys. It's not really that big of a deal. But there was a point where Willie said we and us, and I kind of was like, oh man, I felt cool. I like that. And there's so many times you've mentioned on the show, listen, man, it's Florida State. Like, good job, Jimbo, but it's still Florida State. They won before you got here. What Bobby built is going to sustain after you leave. And I don't know if I don't want to say there's any sort of self-defeatist in me, but I love Florida State. I understand, I think, the gravity of what Florida State became under the condition. I mean, you think about everyone that's won a national title in the last 15 years. Ohio State's, Alabama's. I mean, Clemson obviously probably doesn't fit in that mold. LSU, Florida. I mean, these are schools that have had football programs since, the dawn of the 20th century and have had money invested left and right, have had every strategic advantage, whether it's something from as simple as just having more money and being around longer to having more people in the legislature on their side. And the fact that Florida State's been able to build something in such recent times is amazing. But I don't maybe I don't appreciate it enough. But to hear Walt Bell say the whole thing about there's 6 or 7 programs in this country where they call you just go. The way Harlan Barnett is like, listen, I went to Michigan State. It's my alma mater. I love it, but this is Florida State. Hearing that stuff, it got me more excited than hearing them talk about football itself, I feel like.
And do you think that's because it's just cool to hear that, or do you think it is juxtaposed to what the last guy was like?
I hope not. I hope it's not the other way. I hope that Jimbo didn't make me think lesser of the university that I attended, that I love. But I think to me, to a certain degree,
he never seemed all that appreciative.
Right.
Especially near the end, he didn't seem all that appreciative about what Florida State was And it's like that with anything. You get a fresh group that comes in, it's like, oh my word, this is awesome.
Yeah.
It could be like that with a new job.
Honeymoon phase.
All that stuff. So I get that, but do you think that the reason it resonated with you so much on Sunday when you heard them talk about their affinity for Florida State and what Florida State means to football coaches around the country, do you think that was heightened by this fact that the guy before them never seemed to really do that? Do you think maybe that made it resonate more for you?
I think just everything that Jimbo did. Everything was so cold and mercenary-ish, right? It was, I'm just here to win, and that's what I want. I want us to win. I mean, really, at the end of the day, I don't want us to be embarrassed with off-the-field nonsense, but I want to win games. And
if you're singing Kumbaya and going 7-5,
yeah,
you'd rather have a guy, going 12-0, doing it his way.
Yeah. But, I mean, everything was just cold. Everything was sterile and calculated, and it didn't seem a lot of love for why. I mean, I think, Walt talked about at the end of the day, it's a game. It's a kid's game. We got to let these kids go out there and play and have fun again. And that's so hackneyed, but it just sounds like with the way things used to be here, that was not the case. It's something that I think people from the outside, I can probably include myself since I wasn't here last year, take for granted. You don't realize that guys are going through this. It's a grind. It's drudgery, not just you guys on the beat, but the players itself. And that seems it's going to probably change here within the matter of less than 30 days when you're going to see the football team roll out there, Memorial Day against Virginia Tech, probably more juiced and amped than they've been in.
Not Memorial Day.
Or sorry, Labor Day.
They should play them on Memorial Day too. Come and get some more Hokies.
So, yeah, I don't know. These things it's good. Like, the romanticism of football, by and large, has been drained out of me because I know it's not as...
It became cold and calculated, though. The last guy did that. I mean, then but that's fine. He also hoisted up a championship. He had some great moments at Florida State. But again, and I thought it was telling when Willie said that he was going to show them all clips of the Bowden documentary. I think I don't think that's lip service, and I don't think he's saying that for the fans to get all rah-rah or for us to write about it. I think he genuinely wants his players to appreciate what became before them, that it should matter to them. All of this stuff should matter, and not just the guys they grew up watching like Jameis Winston and Rashad Green, but guys like, obviously Peter Warrick or Lawrence Dawsey as a player or Peter Tom Willis. They should know all these people. And I think and Charlie Ward, that matters to Willie Taggart. He really, I think, genuinely was a fan of this program and sometimes can't believe he's still the coach. He's the coach here, and he appreciates it more than the guy that came in. And again, I think part of that is just the personality of Jimbo. He doesn't romanticize anything, and so he certainly wasn't going to go romantic about what happened before him. And I also think part of it was, and I've said this before, I think he was competing against the dynasty. Not embracing it, he was competing against it. He thought those were expectations that he didn't want. That's why he didn't seem to ever embrace the dynasty or what came before him. He just was concentrating on the now, and that don't compare me to the way it was 15, 20 years ago and all that. It was always kind of a them and me kind of mentality, I thought, with Jimbo when it came to Florida State's history. And that's not the way with Willie Taggart. Willie Taggart wants to bring all those guys back and really, really appreciates what happened before him. And I don't think those expectations bother him. The inherent pressure that comes with being the Florida State head coach because of what Bobby Bowden did, I think Willie Taggart loves that. I think Jimbo Fisher fought against it and built his own way, which he did very well. Again, he did awesome for 6 of the 8 years that he was here.
I liked him a lot. Speaking of the dynasty years, over the weekend while we were away, the coaching staff got one bit bigger, which makes no sense. I'll get better.
Man, you're doing fine, buddy. It's Monday, number 1.
Dude, Mickey Andrews is back.
I know.
It's awesome. I mean, you go talk. That had to make you super stoked because I know you've been the one-man campaign trying to get this man a statue, a street named after him, something of huge consequence at this university, and this is not that, but it's a super awesome gesture, if not anything else.
Yeah, and we get it. It's ceremonial. He's not going to be on the sideline during games calling plays and calling alignments on defense or anything, other than hey, we should blitz. He's not going to do that. But people asked. Harlan Barnett was asked about him. He said just the wisdom that you get from somebody that was around here back then when it was going like it was going. But again, and I made this point. I'm not even sure it could be argued that. I don't know that there's one single more important assistant coach in college football history than Mickey Andrews. Keep in mind, Florida State was good before he got here in 1984. They were okay, They'd finish top 20, top 18. They'd always lose 3 or 4 games, but they always had a good offense and a terrible defense. Or an okay, 80 and 79 and 80, they had good defenses. But 81, 82, and 83, it was ugly. It was bad defenses, and they just tried to outscore you. They'd beat Arizona State 45-42, stuff like that. All of a sudden, Mickey came, righted the defense after a few years, including getting Deion in the 85 class, which I think was Mickey's first recruiting class. He got Deion Sanders and Odell Haggins. That's a nice pull. And that's when the dynasty took off, man. It took off when Mickey Andrews got to campus, and I don't think it's a coincidence. And you turn the whole fortunes of a football program around. The one hire, and he didn't go anywhere else. Nope. He was completely loyal to this university and to the man that was the head coach. His wife was everybody loved her. She was Diane was Miss Tallahassee. Everybody loved her, and she made it feel like a family. She's a wonderful person, and Florida State became home for Mickey, and Mickey built it. And these guys the guys that played for him revere him, and just the goodwill. Because he's so special to the players that played for him and the fans that cheered for those teams back in just the goodwill for the new coach to reach out like that. Because Mickey Andrews, it wasn't like Jimbo would kick Mickey Andrews off the practice field. I've seen Mickey at practice, coming out of practice. He was always welcome, but it wasn't like this. I mean, they didn't come up with a special title for him. And obviously the fact that means something so much for Willie Taggart to do that it means something to him. Like, it was so important for Willie Taggart, for Mickey Andrews to be a part of the university. They basically created a position for him. That speaks volumes, man, of him wanting to reach back to the dynasty and have his hands in it.
I mean, Mickey lost his wife, lost his son. I can only imagine, this is what you did your whole life. I mean, that's part of your identity, being a football coach and being away from it. And I mean, I don't know how much of it is, obviously it's a ceremonial thing, but I mean, just to get him around the team where it's, you can do the open door policy. You're always welcome here at practice, but I mean, you're part of a team again. Even whether it's Bobby talking about not wanting to retire because when Bear Bryant left football, he ended up
There's only one big event in your in your life left after you retire.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Saban's even Nick Saban said it to the degree when people keep asking him, he keeps signing these renewals, with his contract. When is enough going to be enough for him? And he said, I've always been part of a team as long as I can remember. I cannot think what I would do not being part of a team. I mean, I just think putting that back into Mickey's life, that's the coolest thing to me. Not even so, I mean, you talked about the whole fact of bringing him here and letting players know how important he was and how much of a PR sort of thing it is for the fan base. For me, I just think that's got to be so awesome for Mickey just to have a job almost again. I mean, just something that gives you. I mean, my dad is semi-retired. My parents were divorced. My dad is nuts at home. Has nothing to do all day. He's just like going crazy. I'm not saying that Mickey's at that degree, but this gives you some sort of a cool direction as you're in the twilight of your life. I think it's fantastic.
It's great, man. What kind of warms your heart when you think about it is I'm sure he watched the national championship game when Florida State beat Auburn, and I'm sure he was happy. But did he jump up and celebrate? Did he hug someone? Yeah. Did he get to say we? Now he gets to do that again. For every win Florida State has, he gets to say we again. He's a part of it in a really small way, obviously. But he's a part of it, and that's cool, man. That's just really cool that Taggart would do something like that.
How come his barbecue place never took off? I think it might have gone under when I was here or before I got here.
I never ate there.
Goal line? Was it goal line or line?
I think it was before my time.
Andrew, yeah. Well, okay. I like barbecue.
Way to go. Way to bring it and into the segment on a downer.
Do you know who was the defensive coordinator before Mickey? And this I don't know either. I was just going to the Coracle because we all knew it was Mudra before Bobby took over.
Yeah, I want to say Bob Harbinson, but that can't be right. I don't know where I'm getting that name from. So no, I don't. I can look it up.
We'll do that. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. It's Wake Up War Chant 97.9 ESPN Radio.
WarChant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. WarChant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WarChant30. That's WarChant30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WarChant30. WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.
It's kinda easy when you listen to the G'd up sound. Pioneer speakers bumping as I smoke on the pound.
What's up, everybody? I'm Aslan. He is Corey. This is Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Again, sign up for warchant.com. Join the fam, and you'll get a free football season. 2 football seasons worth of a subscription for the price of one, and a $50 gift card to Garnet and Gold. Can't beat that. It's probably the best deal we'll run all year long. Renegade Express will make its triumphant return once again this week as well. Give us your calls, 850-792-5730, or leave your questions on the Tribal Council. See, if you're a subscriber, you don't have to worry about being nervous and, I'm going to get the voicemail done in 30 seconds.
Right.
You can just type your heart's content if you're a subscriber. Go on the Tribal Council.
Heaven knows Aslan's going to read the whole thing. Type 6,000 words.
It's important, man. You gotta let the people sound off. All right, so you wrote a column before, maybe not a column, but just kind of an overview, letting us into the mind of the coracle.
Right.
The things that you're looking forward to, or the things you're going to keep your eye on once camp opens up later this morning. Mm-hmm. 5 things, was it?
5 things, yeah.
We need to do something. I'll have to figure out some sort of alliteration to use, like Clark's something, Cinco's with Clark.
Oh, well, let's go back to the drawing board with that.
Okay, all right.
Let's go back to the lab.
Gotcha. All right, the number one thing was Tamori and Terry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I don't want to build a bridge that far away from things, but does it change your mind at all about how important he'll be, or maybe how the numbers that we'll see from him, because Naquan might not be full. He's definitely not going to be full go later today, but once the season starts.
Yeah, if he's slowed at all, then how much is he going to see the field if he's slowed? And also, I think he's more of a slot guy than Terry. Should be outside more, I would assume.
But just in terms of reliability and dependability.
Sure. He's going to be out there practicing, and if he stays healthy, yeah, man, we don't know if he's there yet, and I had the caution in the column, or in the he was number 1 on the 5. That doesn't mean I didn't quite rank him. I just said that was the first thing that came to my mind. But they haven't had one of these guys in a long time. Kelvin Benjamin, the second half of 2013, was the closest they've had to one of these freak. Just he doesn't have to be open. In fact, even if the safety's over the top, he's still kind of open. Just throw it up. Yeah. They haven't had a guy like that. Rashad Green was awesome in 2014. He didn't out-athlete people for the ball. He would out-athlete him after he caught the ball. But it wasn't just like, okay, if that cornerback's on him, I'm going to throw it to him anyway. This guy seems like that guy. And what that can do for an offense is just almost immeasurable. It changes everything. When you have to rotate help, all that, and he could be a faster Kelvin Benjamin. Ooh. He could be. I mean, the tools are there, right? The speed is definitely there, and the size. There aren't a lot of and he showed the ability to make catches but that was just the spring game. You know what I'm saying? The one thing that I would say, because I think people could roll their eyes and say, all right, man, it was just one spring game and he was playing against walk-on DBs. But the way that Willie talks about him, and the way that he talked about him as the first guy he asked about when he was watching bowl practices, that's the first guy that jumped out at him. Like, who is that? And then at ACC kickoffs, the first person he talked about when asked about a guy that could have a breakthrough was Tamori and Terry. That's what makes me think that, okay, maybe even I'm underselling him when I think I've always said I think he'll have like 25, 26 catches. Maybe he could be one of those crazy, freaky-deaky freshman wide receivers like an A.J. Green or a Julio Jones, and those guys were true freshmen. He's a redshirt freshman. They come in and just dominate. Maybe he's one of those guys. They haven't had one in a long time.
And this is why I don't
before Kelvin was really only about 8 games of his whole career. Was about 8 games where he was just that dude. And then before him, I don't know who the last one was before him. Anquan?
Fred Rouse.
Besides Fred Rouse, that's it. That's
Greg
the
Carr,
lineage
baby.
right
Greg
there.
Carr, Citrus, stand up.
Yep.
Just throw it up, man. Greg Carr will get you.
Go get it, Greg. I got no other place to call.
What about when Walt Bell said? I mean, did you think it was lip service when he was asked how quickly this freshman class is going to have to get ready when it comes to wide receivers?
No, I think they plan on playing at least a couple of them a lot. Whoever earns it, right? But I do think they're not recruiting those guys to just stand on the sidelines. They think that some, maybe all, will help them this year. Maybe 1 or 2 will be real difference makers. No, I don't. I really don't think that's lip service. They know that they need those guys to play because they don't have a ton of depth. They have hardly any proven depth. Naquan's the only guy that's really done a whole lot in college, and he's banged up. So it's going to be a lot of Terry and Gavin and these freshman wide receivers, DJ Matthews, that are going to have to step up and make plays in the over the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, we got Warren Thompson, Jordan Young, Trayshawn Harrison.
Yeah.
Man.
The other one? Isn't there 4?
Yeah, I should probably know who the other one is. It's my
you got
job.
3 right off the bat without even looking at anything. That was pretty impressive.
Sorry. Like I was thinking I was ready to move on to another sort of topic or whatever, and I'm like, let me just.
You know what? We never talked about, while you're looking that up, we never talked about Harlan Barnett's story on how he got to Florida State, really.
Yeah.
That he still wasn't sure. He said he was wrestling with it. He's a spiritual man. He said he prayed on it. After he got the job, he prayed on it that night, woke up, still was troubled, still couldn't decide. And because, again, he played at Michigan State. He's a legend there. Think about, I don't know how you guys would feel about Leroy Butler or somebody at Florida State. He was just...
Leroy, I saw this. I'm sorry to button the way of this, but during the Hall of Fame thing, I think Ronnie Lott and, golly, I can't think of the other guy, are the only 2 5-time All-Pro safeties. Ronnie Lott and the other guy escapes me. And then there's...
Brian Dawkins?
No, because Dawkins, I think, was 4.
Yeah, so was Leroy Butler, right? Leroy Butler was like the safety of the 90s.
What an underappreciated guy when people talk about all-time greats.
You hope that maybe he gets that kind of pub where maybe there can be some momentum and he actually gets in the conversation to be. I don't think Brian Dawkins was any better than Leroy Butler. I think they were kind of the same player. Leroy got a championship. So, but anyway, so he woke up after praying about it and still couldn't make up his mind. And then said that, and he really liked Taggart, he liked Florida State, but he said that God spoke to him last year after they went 3-7. So 2 years ago, you're only going to be at Michigan State for one more year.
3-9, I think.
3-9, yeah. And so he remembered that. He remembered that moment, and then was like, okay, well, that maybe it's what I'm supposed to do is to take this offer. Plus, as he admitted, he gets a chance to stretch his legs and just be the coordinator instead of the co-coordinator. But yeah, man, I think. We shouldn't lose fact that he left his alma mater, a place that he was an All-American, that he's beloved, and had done a really good job, and is a very good program, and has great defenses almost every year. He left that place to come to Florida State, if you're wondering, with who he has no connections with at all. I don't even know how many times he's been in Florida in his life. Yeah. So if you're wondering about the appeal of Florida State University, it wasn't like they went and got the DC from Oregon State. I mean, Michigan State's a legit top 15 program, and has been kind of for the better part of a decade since D'Antonio got there. So for him to leave, to come to Florida State, tells you about Florida State, and it tells you about Willie Taggart.
Well, I mean, think about how...
Because they had no relationship either before Taggart interviewed him.
Well, think about how grumpy fans get when they think of, like, Ron Dugan's not coming here or Chris Winkie going somewhere else. I mean, think about that. They were never here, though. They were never coaches here for that long. Like Harlan Barnett had probably spent more than half of his life in East Lansing, Michigan. And had a good gig.
It'd be like, not quite because he wasn't there as long, but like Odell leaving to go coach Texas. It just that he has no connection with at all. Or Dawsey might be a better example. But although people weren't really fired up about Dawsey's coaching career. But imagine you'd be like, what? Why would he leave? But that's what he did. That's who he was at Michigan State. He was that guy, and he left to come to Florida State, not just to further his career, but also because he liked the guy that was hiring him.
It's the weather, too. I think Mark Snyder's always looking like Jimmy Buffett. He's always got a fishing shirt, shorts, and flip-flops on anytime I see him when he's not on the field. There's something to be said about not having to deal with the weather.
Granted, it's rough here for about a 3-month stretch. It's pretty darn brutal. Right. But at night, it's nice. Nice and 77.
Yeah.
It's nice. The other night I was walking around. I was like, this is pleasant. Yeah. Now, during the day, it's a bit much. But still, it beats the snow for 4 months out of the year.
The other wideouts, pass catchers, Keyshawn Helton from Pensacola, and then the great DeMarcus Adams from Daytona Beach, Florida.
Okay.
So
all right.
No disrespect to those guys, just their names didn't come to mind first. And who knows? For all we know, they might be the guys that are got the best stats of all the true freshmen. So, yeah.
It's been a good run of DeMarcus's here the last few years. So, bodes well for my man Adams.
Keep it up. No pressure. All right, man. Final segment will come right up after this. I'm Aslan Core. It's Wake Up War Chant, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Welcome on back to the program. I'm Aslan Hajavandi, Director of Digital Media for WarChant.com. He is Corey S. Clark, Senior Writer and Columnist for aforementioned website. Don't forget, once again, If you're not a member of warchant.com, now's the time to sign up. Head over to warchant.com for more details on the 2-for-1 promo. 2 football seasons for the price of 1 as a subscriber, and you get that $50 gift card to Garnet and Gold. Thursday, Renegade Express, 850-792-5730. Give us a call. Tell us where you're from. Maybe you'll make a promotion, a commercial video. Be kind of cool. You can brag about it. All right, Corey, so Tamori and Terry we talked about. What are you going to be looking at when we're on that field here coming up in a few hours? What else are you going to be looking at?
Will you care who takes the first snap at quarterback?
Oh, man, absolutely. I think if it's DeAndre, then I think it's game over, unfortunately.
If it's DeAndre, I don't think there's any chance it's DeAndre, by the way. I think Blackman will get the first snap.
Blackman's my guy. The question I did ask Walt that basically he kind of looked. It's
a good quote. You got a good quote out of him. That's all you care about with your questions, man. You got a good quote.
Thanks, man. I'm trying for you guys. But basically asked him, just the fact that, Iris pointed out and told me to pump my brakes on this a lot about the fact that guys seem to like James Blackman more. Players ultimately like the teammate who makes the most plays at the end of the day. So with that in mind, asked Walt Bell, do you see the kids kind of react to James Blackman in a different way? Because maybe it was the fact that he was the guy that was put under a lot of duress last year, and a lot of these guys that we're going to count on, Florida State fans are going to count on this year, are going to be sophomores, guys like Cam Akers,
right?
DJ Matthews, that they saw him and played with him. Do they maybe lean towards him? And he basically was like, hey, man, listen, I don't care what anybody did before I got here. It's a clean slate. When I heard that,
he did say he was an incredible kid, though. And I don't think that's lip service.
That one, that's to me, it did. I thought that was, well, listen, he's a really great kid, and he deserves every bit of respect.
I think he does think that. I think that it certainly wasn't a hint to who was going to be the starter, who he wants the starter, but I do think he feels that way, that James Blackman is an incredible teammate, a good teammate. I really do. Okay. I don't think he didn't say that about anybody else in any other context, but he did say James Blackman.
He wasn't asked directly about anybody, though, either, really, was he?
Well, I guess not. But, he said he's an incredible kid, and the way his teammates love him is 100% correct, or 100% deserved.
Yeah.
Which, I think that says something. But also, go win the job, man. You can be beloved if you're not any good. Not to say he's not good, but if you don't deserve the job, you don't deserve the job, no matter how much they like you.
Actually, should we play the quote?
Let's play the quote or play the clip.
Play the clip, whatever.
You can read the quote. Let's do it. Let's hear it.
All right.
Let's go a little interactive here.
No, here's what I can tell you. I'm going to answer your question in 2 parts just to make sure that I do this the right way. One is James is an incredible kid. The way his teammates feel about him is 100% completely deserved. The second part is I wasn't here. And I'm a guy that I truly believe that when a new staff comes in, when there's a new group, that if you listen to everybody else, you're going to miss a lot of things. It's amazing what coaching changes can do to human beings.
So, I took that away of, hey, pump your brakes on that, man. People can change.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't think it matters at all to him and I think that's the right way to do it, right?
It is, I guess.
You got to take everything on face value, not what you've been told about. If DeAndre Francois has been a great teammate in front of them, then, I think it'd be hard to forget him not being around for a game, but they weren't here. So if he's doing everything right now, maybe you don't hold that against him from whatever that was.
Previous regime allowed it to happen. We wouldn't allow that to happen. We don't think he's the kind of kid that would do it because we put the framework that he wouldn't kind of step. Okay, I got you. But yeah, I think if Francois takes the first snap, I think, oh, here we go. But if Blackman, I don't think there's anything to read into it. If James Blackman takes it, I don't think his chances are one way or the other affected. But I think if DeAndre Francois takes the first snap or runs with the first team, it's kind of like, okay.
Right. But I also do think that, for that first snap, I just think that'll be interesting. But I do think they'll both, maybe all three, but certainly those two will definitely be running first-team reps a good portion of the time.
And slightly amended availability for us. Both of the first 2 practices, later this morning and then Tuesday morning, will be open for their entirety for the media. Sorry, folks. All practices are closed to the public. But the first 2 practices are open in the entirety for the media.
Sorry, commoners.
Yeah. Sorry, plebeians, serfs.
We'll let you know what we see.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, video is only going to be allowed for the opening individual segments. Once they break free from there, we can no longer film video.
Well, and even more, unfortunately, next week when they're in Bradenton at IMG Academy, we're not allowed at all. So it's going to be basically like they're practicing in the dark for 4 days next week because that's a weird, obscure NCAA rule where I guess they would feel that's you're promoting it.
Could I not camp out front and when they're walking off, just interview them? I mean, I'm not covering practice. I mean, they're walking off the field. I'm not filming practice.
I mean, I feel like that would be frowned upon, and there still will be SIDs there telling you to cut it out. But
see, they said it's like recruiting, and it's like, well, hey, man, we hang right out front of the Moore Center and loiter for hours on end to get kids. Why can we not loiter out front of IMG and get people?
I don't know. Is it a public space, IMG?
Yeah, it's IMG. Well, actually, no. Well, I mean, is Florida State still? Is that considered public?
Oh,
even
though it's taxpayer money. I don't know that IMG is getting taxpayer money, so they might be well within the rights to kick you out.
Yeah, whole week of practice. What could happen? What could happen?
What was even weird, they couldn't even tell us where they were going because that would be a violation due to NCAA compliance. They couldn't publicize it at all about even where they're going. But, folks, they're going to IMG Academy in Bradenton. That's where they are going. It's where Michigan went maybe last spring. And you're allowed to do it in the spring. You're just not allowed to do it in the preseason. You're allowed to do it during the season. Like if they wanted to practice in Bradenton between the Miami and NC State games or Miami and Louisville games, we could go and watch it.
Huh, really?
Just the preseason, it's considered a violation.
Okay.
How weird and obscure is that?
It's like the cream cheese on the bagel, right? You can have the bagel, but the cream cheese is too much.
Just odd NCAA rules. So, so those 4 days, the public obviously isn't allowed to go, but neither is the media. So we'll basically be, it'll be, we'll have to stockpile a lot this week to write about next week.
Who are the 5 guys you think you're going to see first unit offensive line? You don't have to go left or right. You can just say the 5 guys.
Oh, jeez.
Also, okay, Eberle,
Dickerson.
Dickerson.
Not
Minshew,
Kelly, I guess.
I think Minshew will be at one guard position. Mike Arnold will be at the other tackle position. And I guess Juwan, if everybody's good, I mean, it's got to be Juwan. And who else can play tackle?
And that'll be interesting, too. And also, I do think that they're not, again, I think they're making I don't think they have anything made up as far other than Akers.
Right.
I don't think they have anything made up on offense, like who's going to be the starter. Maybe Eberle, maybe Akers. Other than that, I think those positions are all genuinely up for grabs.
That's what Walt Bell said. I mean, Walt Bell also said he likes the offensive line. He thinks he'll have 8 or 9 guys that are good. I think he said by the time they're ready to roll for Virginia Tech, right? I don't think he said 8 to 9 by some point in the season. Like he feels they're going to have at least 8 or 9 guys ready in the next 28 days.
Which is, kind of where you want to be. But I think coaches all say that. Every position's up for grabs. They're all competing when we know reality that's not true. I remember you weren't here, but in the players' lounge they have the big, huge. It's basically a fat head of Dalvin Cook that's literally 20 feet high. Yeah. And Jimbo was standing in front of it in 2016 saying, hey, not even running backs decided yet. And I'm like, yo, what about the guy behind you?
That's casting a shadow over you.
Literally, he's looming over you. He's 20 feet high. That guy is still fighting for his job. But I do think other than Akers and other than Eberle, probably – all these positions are up for grabs, man. Some of them will play, but you don't know where and you don't know how much.
The interesting thing that Walt also mentioned about the offensive line was it sounds like they're going to work inside out. He wants to figure out who's going to start on the interior before they figure out the tackle spots, which to me is a bit odd because I don't think Minshew or Dickerson, obviously Bavion Johnson, and Eberle have ever taken any sort of snap at tackle. I think Derek Kelly's the only guy who's swung on the inside and the outside.
Yeah, could be.
So that's kind of crazy how that's going to work
big
out.
Baby. And I thought it was interesting. I guess we can talk about it more in the coming days, but about how they view their relationship, Taggart and Walt Bell, and how I thought that was really funny because he said he's a Type A personality. And I'm like, okay, well, you're a Type A personality, but you're not going to be calling plays. Yeah. How does that affect you? And he goes, well, I'm also Type A and wanting to stay or being the best employee I can be. Basically saying it's gonna be different for him. He's been calling plays for 5 or 6 years now. He's not doing that now. But he is coordinating the offense. And I think he's going to have a huge hand in it. I think Willie Taggart trusts him. I think he is going to put together the game plan. I just think during the actual games, Willie's going to be the guy running it. And it's true, too, man. You can't have too many cooks in the kitchen when you're trying to snap it every 11 seconds.
Right.
There's only so much time that somebody can talk. So it's got to be on Willie just to get a feel and call what he wants to call. But I think during the week, that's when Walt Bell is going to put in all of his work. And I don't think it's he's a coordinator in name only. I think he is going to be coordinating the offense.
For sure.
He said, it's a verb. He's going to be coordinating. He's just not going to be a play caller on Saturdays.
And we'll see how it goes. I mean, there might be stretches. Hopefully it doesn't happen often, but Willie might not have the juice that night.
Get stuck,
and going to see if Walt Bell, what he's made of.
And don't you think Willie's the kind of guy that if he doesn't have it, if he's struggling, he would say, guys, I need it.
Yep.
I don't think he's too proud to ask for help.
Oh, man, this is awesome, dude.
Let's go. Let's go. 12-0.
Woo!
Wake up.
We should leave now, but we got like 1 minute. Just defensively, what are you going to keep your eye on? I guess linebackers, maybe the back end in terms of secondary. What are you going to look at?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm going to try to look at all of it the best I can. I do want to see where Jaden would be, where he lines up initially. Is he running with the ones? I doubt it, but I'm sure he'll be working in there some. And I really want to pay. I didn't pay enough attention to him in the spring, I guess. But Brian Burns, who we've written about a lot. Mm-hmm. Harlan Barnett seemed over the moon with him and how good he was in the spring. Said he was a dude like immediately, and so I want to watch him and see what he's doing. How good is he? How good is he going to be? That's really interesting. And also Kane Doe, I guess, will be back out there.
Yeah.
And I want to see how he looks, how he's moving around.
The humble monster.
Because those two guys, man, are the key to the whole defense, in my opinion. You put constant pressure on a quarterback, consistent pressure, the whole defense improves drastically.
Head over to warchant.com. We'll have updates throughout the morning and throughout the day on Florida State's first practice of the 2018 football season. We can call it that, right? I mean, it's kind of preseason camp.
It's 2018 football season, buddy. We're doing it.
Let's do it, man. He's Corey Maslon. Thanks so much for listening. Jeff Cameron coming up at 3.
The Sod Cemetery, Osceola and Renegade, and of course, the War Chant. These are great traditions known to all Seminole fans. If you are a card-carrying, garnet and gold-wearing Nole, don't you deserve a site that is truly dedicated to covering FSU sports? WarChant.com's staff has over 50 years of experience covering the Seminoles. WarChant.com is the only FSU outlet with a full-time recruiting analyst in Tallahassee. Plus, it's the only site with a full-time videographer and a daily podcast, 100% dedicated to FSU sports. Why act like Gators and settle for second best? WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.